Okay, today we're going to go through lesson 2 very quickly. I'm going to show you how to use the tools that have been assigned um, to lesson 2, which are the crop tool, the clone stamp tool, the patch tool, and the spot removal tool, the spot healing brush tool. So what we're going to do first is straighten this image, and to do that we're going to use the crop tool. In the crop tool, there's this little tool within the crop tool called the straighten tool. We're going to click on that, and I'm going to set my point here up in the left-hand corner of the image, and I want to go along the top of this image. I need to click and drag is what I need to do. So here I'm going to do that. Get my straighten tool. I'm going to click and drag along the top edge of this image. It's actually going to set this. It's going to kind of rotate the image to be set along this point here. So this is going to be now straightened. So you can see as I drew my line across the top edge, it kind of denoted that as the straight edge of my image. So now my image is straight, and I can actually go in here and start to crop away at my image. I'm going to go a little bit into the image. I don't want to leave a little white border out here on the edge. I just want to go slightly into the image so I don't have to recrop it or crop it a second time. I might have to. We'll see. There we go. Crop, crop, crop. So, boom. And I'm going to hit return or hit the click, this little arrow up here at the top. Both will say, okay, I want you to crop where I've designated. So I'm going to hit return, and it's cropped. As you can see on the right and left-hand sides, a little bit of white bars left from the original image. So what I want to do is crop that out a little bit more. And Photoshop has this neat feature called snap, and it's normally turned on. What snap does, though, it kind of snaps whatever my movement to the edge of the image, so I can't actually make little incremental changes. As you can see, it kind of jumps. I can't kind of just crop out, a pixel or two. It jumps almost 0.1 of an inch. I want to make a little incremental change, so I'm going to turn what's called snap. I'm going to turn that off. And to do that, you go to View, Snap. I'm going to uncheck snap. So now snap is turned off. I can just move my crop edge over ever so slightly to get rid of that edge instead of it jumping now. Because of snap, it kind of does what I want it to do. So there we go. I'm just going to remove a little bit. Now I have a completely cropped image. It's straightened. It's good to go. The next thing the book wants you to do is to adjust the color and tone. And to do that, we're going to use what's called the curve adjustment and the level adjustment. And they're located over here under your adjustments panel, or down at the bottom under this panel here, under this drop-down menu. But in the book, they have you use these symbols. So I'm going to do the curve first, and I'm going to go select this eyedropper tool, and this will set the white point. So one's white, one's gray, and one's black. So this will be I'm going to set the white point, and I want to zoom in to point on her shirt, which is white. So I'm going to get my zoom tool. I'll scrubby zoom in. I'll press spacebar to move it over into the center. I'll go back and grab my white point tool and set the white point there. That looks pretty good. And now you could click around and set different white points based on wherever you click and decide what you want like the best. That first time looked pretty good though. Let's see. Might take a second to find a good white point. That's definitely not it. To me that looks pretty spot on. Yeah, I like that white point there. So I zoomed out, and what I'm doing is hitting Command Spacebar on a Mac, actually Spacebar Command, and that brings up my zoom tool. It's the same on a PC. It's just a few different keystrokes. It is Spacebar Alt on a PC. So now what I want to do is set a level. And the book gives you predetermined numbers for the level, so I went up here in my adjustments panel, clicked on level, and now it's a layer. As you can see, I can turn my curve on and off, and my white point is completely different. The sky is much bluer, the whites are much whiter, there's not that kind of overcast tone of green. For the level, they want you to pick certain numbers, and you can pick 15 here for the black point, and then they want you to pick 90 for the midpoints, or 0.9, and then 255 for the white, and that's kind of just adding a little bit of contrast to the image. So it's making the darks darker, and it made the midtones a little lighter. So now what we're going to do next is, well, the book has you flatten the image. To do that, you go up to Layer up here in your menu bar. Under Layer, go down to Flatten Image. And what this does is it flattens our curve and our level adjustment layers into one image. So now we can't go back and change those. It just makes it a smaller file, which makes it easier to work with in terms of computing speed. The next thing we're going to do is use the Spot Healing Brush tool. That's located over here in your tool panel again. It's this one here. It looks like a band-aid with a little selection around it. This tool is amazing. Watch what this does. I'm going to zoom in ever so slightly. And you see this kind of bar here in your image? Well, really easily I can get rid of this bar by using this tool. So I can make my paintbrush or my tool brush bigger or smaller by using what's called, or the keyboard shortcut is the open or close bracket. So I'm going to open it up just to be ever so slightly bigger than the thing I want to fix. So I can try and paint this away, and it's just going to kind of match what's called content aware. It's going to kind of sample the pixels around it and figure out what you're erasing and what it wants to replace it with. Now, as I paint, my paintbrush can kind of go all over the place like that. If I want to keep a straight line, if I hold down Shift and click, it'll stay on a completely vertical or horizontal axis. So I Shift click. It's since this is a completely straight line, it's a good idea to hold down Shift click. I still do small incremental things because areas like this where there's a massive change in what it's correcting, you don't want to make the computer compute too much. So I kind of make small incremental changes. But this is looking pretty good so far. I'm just going to finish this up really quickly. So this is called your Spot Healing Brush tool. I'm just going to finish it off here. There we go. Looks great. It's a fun tool to play with. It's really helpful when you scan things in, or if you scan film in, or if you're just trying to change a certain, if there's a mistake on your page or something like that. The next tool we're going to use is a content aware patch. That's located underneath your Spot Healing Brush tool. It's the third tool down, called the patch tool. And we want to zoom into this boy here, and we're going to remove him from the image. So the boy in yellow shorts, we're going to take him out of this image using this tool. So what I want to do is draw a selection around him as close to him as possible, but not actually going into him. Let's do it kind of quickly here. And it's easier to do with a mouse if you're working on a laptop and you have a like a trackpad. Sometimes this is harder to do because you're clicking and holding, but there we go. I drew a really nice selection around him. I got pretty close. Now all I do is drag him over. You want to make sure that your patch mode is content aware and that your structure is at 5. This just determines how much it adheres to the background. So here we go. We're going to drag him over right about there. And as you can see, as I move this around, it lines up differently in the background. I want to line up this foreground area here with the brick ledge and not worry so much about the background. I'll take care of that later with a different tool. So I'm going to do that there, and all of a sudden, he is now gone. If I hit Command D or Alt D, that gets rid of him. The selection, you can also go to Select and go to Deselect when you have that selection made. So if I have a selection, I want to get rid of it, go to Select, Deselect. And now the next tool we're going to use is called the Clone Stamp tool. That's located over here again in your toolbar. It looks like a stamp, and it's the Clone Stamp tool. If you hit S on your keyboard, it'll give you the Clone Stamp tool. And what this does is pretty much exactly what it says it does. It clones an area of an image and paints it somewhere else. So what I need to do is go to my keyboard and hit Option or Alt on a Mac. I believe it's Control on a PC. And I'm going to hit Alt. I'm going to sample an area. So what I want to do is get rid of this. Since this element right here, this little light color on the rock right here, or the stone, is repeated here. I want to get rid of this one so it doesn't look like it's a repeated image. So what I'm going to do is sample area right next to it and just kind of paint over that. And as you can see, as I'm doing this, there's this little crossbar that pops up next to it. And that's showing you where you're sampling from. So when I sample right here, and I go up here, it's showing me, okay, I'm drawing that line back in, or that area between the bricks back in. But I don't actually want to do that. So I'll kind of Control Z or Alt Control Z my way out of that. And I'm going to get rid of this little box here. I might clean up some other areas. I might clean this up, connect the bricks there. What else do we want to do? This is a repeated element here, so I might actually come over here and grab that, and then grab this area here, paint over that there. So as you can see, what you're actually doing is altering the image, and you're cloning different areas of the image away from cloning different areas of the image to fix it, or to make it look more believable. And this is one of the more temperamental tools in Photoshop. It takes the most time to really get used to using. It's kind of a game in a way to kind of get it just right. There's a lot of things that it's kind of a difficult tool in many ways, but the more you use it, the more apt you'll be. So what I want to do is kind of paint this building back in. So I might pick these windows here, come over here, and just sort of paint this window back in. As you can see, it's picking up the edge of my image. I don't want to do that necessarily. So what I want to do is go here. I'm going to paint this down and over, and then copy this again. Paint this down and over. You know, you might decide to use your patch tool in this process too, because that works really well. So now I've kind of finished that building off. I might paint another window in here just for fun. But you know, as you zoom out, this will be a lot more believable. When you're zoomed in this far, it doesn't look incredibly believable. I might actually make my brush smaller too. Let's see. So anyways, I'm going to finish this up really quickly just to move on. So if you have any old tourist photos lying around that your mom or dad or cousin or aunt or uncle want you to fix, you can now do that using Photoshop. Other ways to use your clone stamp tool. So say there's some dusts and scratches here in your image. Use a clone stamp tool to fix this too. So it's kind of like the spot removal tool. It's just a manual version. All right, so it's kind of a fun tool to use if you like little tedious tasks like this, which I do. I tend to enjoy. So we'll zoom back out. Now our image is looking a lot better. We've erased this kid who was standing over here. Maybe he wasn't a part of the family here. Maybe he was another tourist. I don't know why we erased him, but we did. The next thing you want to do is sharpen up the image. When you zoom in really closely, you can see these little blue specks. This is probably artifacts from the scanning process or the saving process or something along the way where this happened. When it was saved digitally, it introduces this noise. So what you want to do is go up to Filter, Noise, Dust and Scratches, and you want to set your radius to 1, your threshold to 0, and click OK. All of a sudden, those little blue dots have gone away, as you can see before and after. But what it does is it makes it a little less sharp. So now we want to sharpen up the image again. And to do that, we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen, and it tells you in the book where to set. I've practiced this, so it's 60%, 1.5 pixels at 10%. Click OK, and it should sharpen it up slightly. Now there's a few better ways to sharpen in my estimation, but this is the way the book is showing you for today, so that's okay. Now all you do is hit File, File, Save As, and you'll save it as finished, your name, or what my name will be Rainer. And go ahead and save it as a JPEG, which is fine. File, save as JPEG, hit save, and then OK, and then this is what you turn in to me on the classroom website. So thank you very much. Look for the next